you're trying to buy a GPU right now, don't just guess. In this video, I'm going to show you the best GPU for your budget and what your games will actually feel like. Alright, let's start with the budget option, if you don't want to spend too much. This is the GTX 1660 Super, and honestly, it's still pretty decent in 2026. So, what does this actually feel like in-game? At 1080p, your games are going to run fine. Not amazing, but definitely playable. You're looking at around 60 to 100 FPS, depending on the game.
And the best part is this thing is pretty cheap now. You can usually find it for around like $120 to $180, especially if you check places like eBay or secondhand sites. But I'm gonna be real with you. I wouldn't really recommend this unless you're on a really tight budget. Like, yeah, it works, but your game isn't gonna feel that smooth, and the graphics aren't gonna look that great either. So if you can, I'd say just save up a little more and go for something better. Because once you move up to something like the RTX 3060, this is where things actually start to feel good. Up until this point, you're usually trying to balance everything, lowering settings, tweaking options, just to keep things running smoothly. But with the RTX 3060, you can actually start pushing your games. High settings become normal, and the experience just feels a lot more stable overall. And on top of that, you get access to features like DLSS, which can boost your performance while keeping the game looking sharp. You also get ray tracing in supported games, so lighting, reflections, and shadows look way more realistic than before. It's basically the point where games don't just run well, they actually look the way they're supposed to look. So yeah, the RTX 3060 isn't just an upgrade in FPS, it changes the whole experience of how games feel and look. At the lower end, something like the 1660 Super is going to cost you around 100 to 150 euros. But once you step up to the RTX 3060, you're looking more at that 200 to 300 euro range. But if you've got a bit more budget, like 400 to 500 euros, we can step it up and go with something even stronger. At this point, you can start looking at AMD cards like the RX 7700 XT and the RX 6800. The RX 7700 XT is more of a modern, balanced option. It's really good for high FPS 1080p gaming, and it can also handle 1440p really well on high settings. So in most games, you're getting smooth performance without needing to lower your graphics too much. Then you've got the RX 6800, which is a bit older but still very powerful. It has more raw performance and more VRAM, which helps a lot in heavier games and open-world titles. Even today, it can run 1440p games smoothly on high settings and still holds up really well. So overall, this is the range where you start getting really strong performance. And gaming starts to feel a lot more smooth and powerful compared to budget GPUs. Now, if you've got around 600 euros, this is where you're really stepping into high-performance gaming. At this price range, you're usually looking at something like the RX 7800 XT or similar GPUs from AMD. The RX 7800 XT is a really strong card for this budget. It's mainly built for 1440p gaming at high or ultra settings, and in most games, you're getting very smooth, stable FPS without needing to adjust much. It also handles heavier modern games really well, so you don't have to worry about performance drops when new titles come out. Overall, this is the point where gaming starts to feel very powerful and consistent, and you can basically max out most games at 1440p without issues. And last but not least, we have the 700 to 1000 euro range. This is where you're getting into high-end gaming. At this price, you're looking at cards like the RTX 4070, RTX 4070 Super, or AMD's RX 7900 XT. The RTX 4070 and 4070 Super are really strong for 1440p gaming and can even handle 4K in a lot of games with good settings. Everything feels super smooth, and you can turn graphics way up without losing performance. The RTX 4070 is a really strong card for 1440p gaming. You can play most modern games on high or ultra settings with very smooth FPS and stable performance. It's also really good for more demanding titles, where lower-end GPUs would usually start struggling. Everything just feels more consistent, and you don't really have to worry about performance drops. So overall, this is a high-end GPU that gives you really strong and smooth performance. There's nothing to say about it, it's perfect. And then we have the AMD option in this range. That's the RX 7900 XT. This is a very powerful card, mainly focused on high FPS 1440p gaming and also solid 4K performance. It can run most modern games on high or ultra settings with very strong and stable performance. It also comes with a lot of VRAM, which helps a lot in heavier games and makes it more future-proof. So overall, this is a high-end AMD GPU that gives you a lot of raw performance for the price. So yeah, they're really good GPUs and I highly recommend them.